Physalia Physalis. The voice came from behind him, and Alex twisted round to see a man coming down from the last of the stairs. Herod Sale was short. He was so short that Alex's first impression was that he was looking at a reflection that had somehow been distorted. In his immaculate and expensive black suit, with gold signet ring and brightly polished black shoes, he looked like a scaled-down model of a multi-millionaire businessman. His skin was very dark, so that his teeth flashed when he smiled. He had a round, bald head and very horrible eyes. The grey irises were too small, completely surrounded by white. Alex was reminded of tadpoles before they hatch. When Sale stood next to him, the eyes were almost at the same level as his, and held less warmth than the jellyfish. "The Portuguese man of war," Sale continued. He had a heavy accent brought with him from the Beirut marketplace. "He's beautiful, don't you think?" "I wouldn't keep one as a pet," Alex said. "I came upon this one when I was diving in the South China Sea." Sale gestured at a glass display case, and Alex noticed 3 harpoon guns and a collection of knives resting in velvet slots. "I love to kill fish," Sale went on, "but when I saw this specimen of Physalia Physalis, I knew I had to capture it and keep it. You see, it reminds me of myself. It's 99% water, it has no brain, no guts and no anus." Alex had dredged up the facts from somewhere and spoken them before he knew what he was doing. Just picturing half of year 6 laughing at my accent and other bits in that. Sale glanced at him, then turned back to the creature hovering over him in his tank. "It's an outsider," he said. "It drifts on its own, ignored by the other fish. It is silent and yet it demands respect. You can see the nemocysts, Mr. Lester. The stinging cells. If you were to find yourself wrapped in those, it would be an exquisite death." "Call me Alex," Alex said. He'd meant to say Felix, but somehow it had slipped out. It was the most stupid, the most amateurish mistake he could have made, but he had been thrown by the way Sale had appeared and by the slow, hypnotic dance of the jellyfish. The grey eyes squirmed. "I thought your name was Felix." "My friends call me Alex." "Why?" "After Alex Ferguson, I'm a big fan of Manchester United." It was the first thing Alex could think of. But he'd seen a football poster in Felix Lester's bedroom, and he knew at least he'd chosen the right team. Sale smiled. "That's most amusing. Alex, it shall be. And I hope we will be friends, Alex. You are a very lucky boy. You won the competition, and you are going to be the first teenager to try out my Stormbreaker. But this is also lucky, I think, for me. I want to know what you think of it. I want you to tell me what you like, what you don't." The eyes dipped away, and suddenly he was businesslike. "We have only 3 days until the launch," he said. "We better get a bloody move on, as my father used to say. I'll have my man take you to my room, and tomorrow morning, the first thing you must get to work. There's a maths program you should try, also languages. All the software was developed here at Sale Enterprises. Of course we've talked to children, we've gone to teachers, to education experts, but you, my dear Alex, you will be worth more to me than all of them put together." As he talked, Sale had become more and more animated, carried away by his own enthusiasm. He'd become a completely different man. Alex had to admit he'd taken an immediate dislike to Herod Sale. No wonder Blunt and the people at MI6 mistrusted him, but now he was forced to think again. He was standing opposite one of the richest men in England, a man who decided, out of the goodness of his heart, to give a huge gift to British schools. Just because he was small and slimy, that didn't necessarily make him an enemy. Perhaps Blunt was wrong after all. "Ah, here's my man now," Sale said, "and about bloody time." The door had opened and a man had come in, dressed in the black suit and tails of an old-fashioned butler. He was tall and thin, as his master was short and round, with a thatch of ginger hair above a face so pale it almost was paper white. From a distance it looked as if he was smiling, but as he drew closer, Alex gasped. The man had 2 horrendous scars, one on each side of his mouth, twisting up all the way to his ears. It was as if someone had attempted to cut his face in half. The scars were a gruesome shade of mauve. There were smaller, fainter scars where his cheeks had once been stitched. "This is Mr. Grin," Sale said. "He changed his name after his accident." Accident? Alex found it hard not to stare at the terrible wounds. Mr. Grin used to work in a circus. It was a novelty knife-throwing act. For the climax, he used to catch a spinning knife between his teeth, but then one night his elderly mother came to see the show. She waved to him from the front row, and he got his timing wrong. He's worked for me for a dozen years now, and although his appearance may be displeasing, he is loyal and efficient. Don't try to talk with him, by the way. He has no tongue. Mr. Grin said. "Nice to meet you," Alex muttered. "Take him to the blue room," Sale commanded. He turned to Alex. "You're fortunate that one of our nicest rooms has come up free. Here, in the house. We had a security man staying there, but he left us quite suddenly." "Oh, why was that?" Alex asked casually. "I have no idea. One moment he was here, the next he was gone." Sale smiled again. "I hope you won't do the same, Alex." Mr. Grin gestured at the door, and, leaving Herod Sale standing in front of his huge captive, Alex left the room. He was led along a passage past more works of art, up a staircase, and then along a wide corridor with thick wood-panelled doors and chandeliers. Alex assumed that the main house was used for entertaining. Sale himself must live here, but the computers would be constructed in the modern buildings he'd seen opposite the airstrip. Presumably he would be taken there tomorrow. His room was at the far end. It was a large room with a 4-poster bed and a window looking out to the fountain. Darkness had fallen, and the water, cascading 10 metres through the air over a semi-naked statue that looked remarkably like Herod Sale, was eerily illuminated by a dozen concealed lights. Next to the window was a table with an evening meal already laid out for him: ham, cheese, salad. His bag was lying on the bed. He went over to it, a Nike sports bag, and examined it. When he closed it up, he had inserted 3 hairs into the zip, trapping them in the metal teeth. They were no longer there. Alex opened the bag and went through it. Everything was exactly as it had been when he packed, but he was certain the sports bag had been expertly and methodically searched. He took out the Game Boy Color, inserted the Speed Wars cartridge, and pressed the start button 3 times. At once the screen lit up with a green rectangle, the same shape as the room. He lifted the Game Boy up and swung it around him, following the line of the walls. A red flashing dot suddenly appeared on the screen. He walked forward, holding the Game Boy in front of him. The dot flashed faster, more intensely. He had reached a picture hanging next to the bathroom, a squiggle of colours that looked suspiciously like a Picasso. He put the Game Boy down and carefully lifted the canvas off the wall. The bug was taped behind it. A black disc about the size of a 10-pence piece. Alex looked at it for a minute, wondering why it was there. Security? Or was Sale such a control freak that he had to know what his guests were doing every minute of the day and night? Alex put the picture back. There was only one bug in the room. The bathroom was clean. He ate his dinner, showered, and got ready for bed. As he passed the window, he noticed activity in the grounds near the fountain. There were lights shining out of the modern buildings. 3 men, all dressed in white overalls, were driving towards the house in an open-top Jeep. 2 more men walked past. These were security guards, dressed in the same uniform as the man at the gate. They were both carrying semi-automatic machine guns. Not just a private army, but a well-armed one. He got into bed. The last person who had slept here had been his uncle, Ian Ryder. He'd seen something. Looking out the window, had he heard something? What could have happened that meant he had to die? Sleep took a long time coming to the dead man's bed.